Alright, so in my last video I talked about moving beyond academic bebop and listed some techniques for doing so. I wanted to make this video to sort of do a deep dive on one of the concepts I mentioned called displacement. Now, I consider this a somewhat advanced technique in that you need to have a super solid understanding of the fundamentals to gain fluidity. So as a rough benchmark, I would say you should be able to accurately run a string of eighth notes through the changes of a blues, following the rules of solid jazz playing. And if you're new to jazz or you struggle to do that, I would maybe suggest finding some videos on learning how to play bebop and spend some time with that first. All right, so without further ado, let's dive in. In the last video, we defined displacement as moving the point of resolution in your line forward or backward relative to the chord change, anticipating or delaying the resolution. And the lick we're going to look at today is from a Bird recording of his tune Cheryl, which is a blues in C. And it's from live at the hi-hat. The lick happens at about 1 minute and 35 seconds in. And I would play the recording, but no one on YouTube knows what fair use is anymore, so I don't want the video to get struck down. You'll see in the notation that the lick is on bar 7 of the blues, which is the 1 chord, but it's important to know that we're coming from 4, and you'll see why. And I'm going to play the cool blues head for bars 1 through 6 just so you can hear the lick in context. All right, so what's going on here? We can see that we've essentially got an F minor figure over C7. Now, if I hadn't mentioned displacement, your first instinct might be to say, wow, F minor over C, he's using modal mixture, he's playing outside. But no, he's literally just playing the chord from the last bar, delaying his resolution from 4 to 1. And you may say that, it's a minor chord, and we have to remember that Bird would often play his blues for Alice changes over any blues, and that's what he's doing here. So after 2 beats of 4 stuff, minor 4 stuff, he starts playing minor 3 stuff. And he once again delays his resolution, this time to flat 3. So we've got, so all that stuff is minor 4, and then this is our minor 3, or like 1. All that is, minor 3, and we're resolving to flat 3, as in a typical Bird blues. And what's interesting to me here is that even though he's delaying the resolution, he's actually anticipating it as well, because he's resolving to this B flat on the end of 2. And you might say, how is that possible? How can it be delayed and anticipated? It doesn't have to be one or the other. And I would say that once he doesn't resolve at the top of the bar, we're expecting it on beat 3. We're expecting some sort of symmetry, because he'll often play something like this. Something like that, or actually, that's the one he usually does. So, like I said, we're expecting symmetry and we're not getting it. And in a nutshell, that's what displacement is not fulfilling the expectation. We've got this concept of tension and release in music, and we're essentially holding on to tension for longer or shorter than expected. All right, so another bit of displacement that he's doing is on the long 2/5, the D minor to G. We've got this line. Now, I think that the whole first bar and half of the second bar is D minor. Like, that very much sounds like he has not resolved yet. And yeah, like I know you can make the case that this note is the fifth of G, and it technically is a resolution, but to my ears, it very much sounds like he's playing the 2 chord all the way through that until he resolves to the 3rd of the 5 chord. So this stuff leaves us with one big question, which is how can we practice this? And unfortunately, I don't have a scientific formula. I'm more musician than scientist in this respect. And it's not like if you delay resolution for X amount of time and anticipate for Y amount of time, you'll like unlock bebop. In a general sense, the most helpful thing is to transcribe a bird solo and point it out to yourself in your analysis. I find that just noticing it can help you hear it and make you more inclined to play it in your improvisation. And from a practical standpoint, one of the ways I was taught to explore this concept was to play licks, particularly short and long 2/5s starting on each beat of the bar. So if you have a basic 2/5 line like this, you would play that on each, on beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So on beat 1, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. On beat 2, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So on and so forth. Now, to me, that sounds a bit unnatural, so I would modify the exercise to displace the beginning of the lick and then shorten or elongate the back half so that it makes a bit more sense. So when it starts on beat 1, maybe I would play this. But on beat 2, I'd probably play 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Because it makes more sense to me. And, if you're listening to this and saying, well, it sounds the same to me, or I don't understand why one makes sense or one makes more sense than the other, unfortunately, that takes time and effort and a degree of fluency. I've spent years studying this stuff and becoming fluent in this language. So you're going to have to do the same to make sense of it. And I'm just making you aware of this concept that the greats used and showing how it's demonstrated. But it's up to you to hash it out in a way that you can understand it. So good luck, go practice.